What's up, guys? Welcome back. Got another edition of oil painting with the guy who used to oil paint that is learning how to oil paint again and is kind of always talking out loud. Appreciate you swinging by. Last stream we were working on the hands. Today we're going to work on blending out the face a little bit, and yeah, that's what we're going to get ourselves up to. You can see I still have my palette out here. It should still be all wet and ready to roll. Let's find out. Oh yeah, we are good. Good to go. Okay, so I need to get my lighting perfecto, and then we're gonna just kind of like squeeze in here and bing bang boom. All right, cool, awesome. Hopefully everything's been good for you. Hopefully you had a good week so far. I'm gonna use like my number 2 tone in this palette here of going dark to light, and just find like a nice base. Should we do the cheek or the forehead first? Let's do the cheek. Yeah, it's good. So what I want to do is find the base middle tone here, and then we know to blend lighter up and then darker down. Of course, the lighting is insane as always, but if you check my socials, you'll be able to see some good quality photos of our finished sessions as we go. And we want this to turn into the shadow relatively quick to show the shape of the face round, like where the cheekbone rolls off closer towards the jaw or the ear. So I'm going to make sure with this next tone to pull up into these tones that we just put down rather than pulling straight down, because we're going to want to keep that transition line around here. Create a much richer shadow tone here for this to go into. So like I said, I need this to be pretty dramatic. She's very far away from it. This form is really far away from the direction of light. Reshaping, reshadowing. Basically, I'm just using a new palette and going over what was already there beforehand. And then I have another scoocher a little bit. That's better. Then I got another soft brush here that has no pigment on it whatsoever. And all we're doing is we're buffing together tones that we just put down. Essentially just trying to remove any obvious transitions in tone, right? So now I brought it down to the cheek and that temple ridge. I'm going to go up into the cheek towards where it hits the nose. I'm going to go up into there first, and then we'll work on the forehead. Back up here, this is the tone that I used starting, so I know that that's the middle tone there. And then this lighter tone is closest to like what I want my highlight to be. We used that in our last session, like on the fingertips that were receiving the light straight from the light source. So essentially, that is going to be my brightest bright on this entire face. except for maybe some white highlights just to do some painting trickery, but I might honestly just use that. So what I'm doing, I'm finding the halfway between these two right now. Just pulling some of this paint up into here, some of this paint down to here, mixing with the tip of my brush. Once I have a nice little hue pile there, I'm going to come in and try to transition out from what we got right now, moving upwards towards the cheek. Now I will go full. I'm wiping off my brush off camera right now in case you hear what I'm doing. Oh, here, I can wipe it off. Here, this is a little piece of cardboard that's underneath my glass palette. If I put it on my glass palette, it's just going to slide all around, but the cardboard's a little absorbent, so it'll yank some of this pigment off. I'm going to go straight into my highlight pile now for the brightest highlight, which would be on the lower portion of the face, which would be where the cheek is all the way up to the turn where it connects to the side of the nose. So hopefully the illusion will take place here. Nice. It's a little wonky. There's a little bit of a dip running on. I can't put it on the reference here, but running across the cheek. It's like so. I'll smooth that out very delicately with the tip of this brush. And then we'll blend after that. Feel better about that. So I'm going to go back in with that brush that has no pigment on it at all. And just pull. I'm pushing the bristles into the pigment, and just the act of that push is forcibly blending the tones into each other. It's a beautiful, smooth transition. Loving it. Ultimately, one day, when we go through and we do like tiny little dry brush shadow glazes over everything, that's going to be a very nice foundation for some insanely specific micro tuning. The last stream we did when we were working on those hands, we were talking about this in a sense of like, you know, up until this point for however many hours we've been working on this painting together, it's been like a lot of suggestion with no description, right? Suggesting without describing should be a t-shirt. And what that means is like, you know, getting the point across, but you don't have to get stupid delineated and like really like dial in stuff. Now's the time I'm starting to dial in stuff. We still have other elements of the universe within this painting that we're working on, but for today, we're dialing in detail on this face. So that's the goal here, is to actually get some real detail going, which is why I have this insane magnifying camera set up, this insanely lit canvas panel. Oh, it's not canvas, but what's wild about we're gonna tune it right now, but the pigment that's on there now is that her forehead, like you see how the light's hitting me right now? Like, why would the light ever be like halfway into the forehead? You know what I mean? It would be at the very edge. We're looking at this from a dead-on side angle, which is one of my least favorite angles to work with, but it's what we got from Midjourney AI, which is a garbage. It's AI, but at least gave us a place to start, right? That's my first oil painting back after 4 years or something like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring this tone all the way up to the edge now. And when we plop our highlights in, it'll make more sense. Alright, so now we get that fun magic where I use my brush that has no pigment on it. I go in and I just push against the canvas. If this is the canvas here, I'm just going push in, push in, push in, and it'll automatically blend these tones into each other. This darker shadow, the mid-tone, and the light tone. I'm just gonna push, push, push. How do you like that? Movie magic. Right now she's got kind of like a JFK on the slab thing going on, where her forehead comes way over here and then there's just like a chunk right there and then into the hair. And I threw a highlight on the hair, I don't know why, but we're gonna have to take care of all of that. Because, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And I like the shape of the forehead. I like the roundness of it. It gives it's a, you know, definitely not as slopey and flat as mine, but I have a really strange skull shape anyway. I got a very flat back of the head, and yeah, very smashed forehead. So I'm no barometer for what I'm looking for in this particular painting. But I need to bring her hairline, which right now is like doing one of these. I need to bring it up to the foreground and then whip it back. Fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to phrase that, those are darker tones, and I don't want to mess with them right now because I'm working with the flesh tones. So we'll finish all the flesh tones of the face, the ear, you know, behind the ear, and then I'll end with cleaning up those, that edge with the hair. It's just, you know, looks maniacal right now. Okay, let's keep working on the full light receiving part of this forehead. Pretty good. There's still a brow ridge. I don't like a brow ridge highlight over here that I'm not really that into. But if I use the same tone that's on here, which is a full, you know, it's receiving the full light, then I think if I go over brow ridge this way, it should be the same, right? It should all make sense. So I'll just buff that down into that direction. Let's figure out this nose. I have a whole new set of values, hue and everything for these skin tones here than what is already on the canvas. So I gotta repaint the entire nose. So I will go through with the warmer mid-dark first to do that warm shadow that we're seeing, or the in-shadow facet of that nose. I'm gonna start there. As you can see again, as last time, as the time before, maybe the time before that, I can't remember. No reference here. We're flying without a net currently. Just using my knowledge of anatomy and painting to figure out how to make this all sing. And I can't say I'm an expert at anatomy. I won't. But it's really just shapes, and it's how light moves around shapes. So if you have this part of the nose, this is like a cylinder here, there's a couple of spheres here, they might be on like more of like a triangular bend, and you just think of it in those terms, how the light would hit, how it would wrap, and you have the answer. Nature's already got it programmed in there. I'm not gonna do it, I could kind of use like the lighting that's hitting the side of my face right now as a reference for how to tune these colors, but I'm not gonna do that. Alright, so where it goes, like, completely touches the cheek to the side of that nose, it's going to have to get darker. It's not an occlusion shadow, it's not two objects touching each other, it's just where those two facets blend into one another. So maybe a slightly darker tone. shaky today. Too much coffee. And for the side of this nostril, I'm going to use like still within these like midtones here, these slightly warm midtones. Shape it out like that, and then we're gonna, not necessarily full highlight, but close to the full highlight on the part of the nostril that is facing upwards and receiving the light. You can see I dropped a little bit on the bridge of the nose there. I'm gonna figure that out right now, that whole, the conundrum of that line, because like if I want some good separation from the background, you're gonna want like a darker edge next to that brighter background to form that contrast. But what I don't want is for this to look like a cartoon, and if you put like a solid line around everything, it just looks really cartoonish. So man, I'm so sorry I keep bumping this. Busy. So I know I need the bridge of this nose to have some light on it. I also know that I don't really want it to clash with the background. So maybe it's more important for the background, I bet you it is some of this tone that's down here, this deeper tone, is to frame it out there and then to come off there. I'm going to try that. It's a little early to try to play with background, but let me see if I can just mix up a tone that's similar to what we have down there. And then we'll just kind of frame it out the nose and make it out of us. Yeah, that's definitely the move. You can see the shape of the nose way better, contrast way better. It's just so dark compared to what's already there. So what's already there is like a shining near white. So I'm gonna use some of this Naples yellow, take the tone that I just had, and just like, you know, use this Naples yellow to bring that value way, way up. Yeah, that's good stuff. I feel better about that for sure. Now there's still like a weird like white highlight, black line, flesh that's going on the forehead part here. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of that today. Likely right now, but we'll take care of that. Use the same tone that we're just using there. Try to obliterate this weird white. Yeah, a little bit better. And I'm not going to blend it down here because I know that this hairline is going to come a lot further. So I'm just going to pull it out that way for right now. Okie dokie. Try to steady this camera because I keep getting my face way close. What I have the camera trained behind a magnifying lens right now, so I can really see those details, and I got my forehead almost touching the magnifying lens, so it keeps like juddering the camera. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Obviously, the bridge of the nose and then the side of the nose that's in shadow has a very stark contrast between the two of them, and we're going to need to blend that out. So what I'm going to do is use my blending brush with no pigment on it. It's just a nice round painting brush. Really soft bristles, used mostly for watercolor, but you can use it for anything as long as it works. I'm just gonna gently blend this together. Not terrible. Still got some more work I gotta do here. The line of demarcation between the tattoo sleeve and the face, to get that as sharp as humanly possible, I'm gonna have to paint over paint. There's no other way around it. I can't keep dilly-dallying back and forth, tuning edges or whatever. So I think what I will have to do, I'm going to pull the foreground of the tattoos over those parts of the flesh tones. I think, yeah, because there's a lot of tuning. Like, for instance, if I took the hues that are in her cheek and try to pull them towards the tattoos, for instance, if I try to pull that this way, it's going to start revealing some trickier portions of like where the lip lines hit, and I'm not worried about difficulty. This is okay. The whole process of this is supposed to be difficult on me, but there's a lot of little shapes in here, and I just think it would, on the microscopic level of where these little tiny variations are, it would be, I don't want to take the easy route here, but I just feel like if I pulled that darkness of the tattoo shadow into the foreground, it would help answer the question, so to speak, that we're trying to figure out here a lot easier. I don't want to take the easy way out. So let me work on that a little bit. That I just hold the cheek there and see what I can do. Spending so much time talking about it, I can just go in and finish it. I gotta get darker here. A little bit darker as we go away from that light source. You know, when you, in life in general, when you don't want to do something, the only reason you don't want to do it is because you know you're supposed to be doing it. Versus constantly throwing lessons our way, huh? And now that little like semicircular warble, I don't think my mouth shows on here or not, but yeah, that little semicircular warble on this portion of the cheek here, I'm not worried about that, because that black line will cut over there and smooth that out. But anyway, I'm doing good. So far, so good, eh? I haven't worked on the brow ridge of the upper eyelid yet. Her eyes are closed, so we're not going to see any eyes, but I haven't worked on that, changing the colors with our new palette yet, so let's go ahead and jump and do that. We're going to use a little bit of this warmer tone that's moving away from the light. Mix it between these two here. And that will be the most shadowed part. There. I normally wouldn't throw a brush stroke down that fast, but my hand just slipped and it then ended up working out, so we'll call that something I did on purpose, even if it wasn't. Then I gotta come lighter, almost to the full light, the receiving of the full light, but not entirely, because I am gonna get to that point, but I need to blend these. excess on the brush here. And then we'll come in with the full highlight pigment. That's not too bad there. Re-enter a little bit of that in the bridge of the nose so that I can have congruent highlights there. And then back to this trusty brush with no paint on it. Just use the very tip of it. A little pressure, and it'll automatically blend those strokes out. Wow, that just ruined the shape of the nose, but fortunately, I have an eraser here in that. I still have the background brushed out. Now the valleys aren't as dark because I blended all the way out, so let me jump back and make it darker. Reshape that nose. I have to put in a whole new highlight on the bridge of the nose now. Push pull, meaning you add, you take away, you add, you take away. You make some progress, you lose some progress. That's how this whole process goes, pushing and pulling. When you're drawing, your eraser is part of the tools. There's no such thing as every single brush stroke is your last brush stroke, unless you're doing like an impressionistic painting, and that's not what we're going for here. I'm trying to go really realistic on this one. You see what I was doing is I'm trying to recreate this shape here by just adding the same tone across because they're all receiving the same amount of light, you know. This is so tightly detailed that every single individual hair on these brushes is affecting the shape of this nose. You know, like she doesn't have a big hook nose, so I'm gonna have to bring that olive tone up and carve a little straighter. Push pull, push pull. I like it. I'm happy with where this is going. I'm just exhaling here. That's just such a tedious. It's tedium. It's a tedious process. I feel like I'm destroying the progress I was making, but so what I'm doing right now is I'm working on that roller coaster edge with the nose, the brow, bridge of the nose, the brow ridge, and the forehead. Trying to get the silhouette of that line looking accurate. We're close. We're not all the way there. We're close. And then when I put in the new eyebrow, that'll really tie it all together. It's like the dude's rug. Push, pull. Getting closer though. Those fingers and hands looking good from our last session. Now that these tones are matching, it's very nice. Makes me feel really good. Pretty darn close on this roller coaster ridge. I don't know if there's any art term for that, but I'm going to call it the roller coaster ridge. That feels good for right now. Now I gotta get up that eyebrow tightened in, and then maybe work on these beautiful eyelashes. Cleaning my tiny liner brush off screen here. I have other liners in my collection here. Let's see if I have a. There's an example of one I want to show you. This guy. This is a liner. However, you can see how long the bristles are. Like that is, it's way too much. You know, even if I pull a nice tight line, if I'm trying to get the eyelashes in there, that's an insane choice. So just, if you go to the store and just buy a brush that says liner, it's definitely not gonna automatically be what you're looking for. For instance, let me give you a comparison side by side. These are both Princeton Aqua Elite brushes. There's the same company and everything. Here is the liner brush versus the tiny brush I've been using for everything. With the hands, the face, all the detail work we've been doing. So much smaller. It's almost like the precision of a tattoo needle. So, anyway, we're looking good here. I will work on the eyebrow and eyelashes next, right now. And then we're going to take ourselves down and work on the ear. That's a pretty exciting spot. There's a lot of cool shapes in a human ear. I'm not using black at all for the eyebrow and the eyelashes, even though her hair is black. It's receiving so much light, I want to lean into the brownness of it. So, use a nice, deep, rich brown color. The camera can really pick up on that tone, but you'll see it once we start painting it in. Whoa. Keep bumping this thing. I feel like a fool. Act like a fool. Eyebrow has to go with an up wedge and then a flat line when it gets towards the middle here. And right now it's like the same line all the way up, so I need to move up. It's not here. Down. So her eyebrows are in. She's got Eugene Levy eyebrows currently. So I'm going to use flesh tones to carve back on either side of that, smooth those over. And I'll be able to do the highlight on the top and then the mid-tone on the side, where it's not receiving light on the eyelid and the forehead. But our eyebrows, they're not coming all the way to the temple ridge, they're dying out a little bit beforehand, so I will come in with this tone here. Mix it up with a little bit of this tone here. It's like a half step between my lightest highlight and my next medium, and I'm just going to carve in. Give me a second to adjust here. I'm just going to carve in this eyebrow. Stop drinking coffee before I scream. Making little mistakes. That looks pretty good. Pretty good so far. I still need to get the eyelid area though, so I'm gonna come in with a deeper mid. A little bit darker, not dark, but a little bit darker and warmer. Because shadows, when things move to the shadow side, they get warmer. Don't let anybody tell you different. A lot of time when I put paint on the brush and you see me still wiping even though I've got my paint already, I'm shaping the brush. Even this tiny little liner, I'm gonna need to think of it microscopically. Like if I go like this on the glass palette, it's gonna flatten. It's gonna become like a wedge, you know. If I twist, it'll become a little bit more conical. And it's like, do you need that flatness? Do you need the cone? What do you need? So, okay, feel pretty good about that. I do need to redarken the brow ridge, and I do need I need to redarken the temple ridge. I'm so sorry, and then I need to make sure that eyebrow gets out of the way before it touches the temple line. Nobody's eyebrows, in reality, really get that far, whether they like it or not. I'm going to get rid of that first. Then I will do a shadow for the temple line, and then we're going to blend all these guys out. Alright. My liner with no pigment on it. I'm going to go backwards because the temple ridge here is very egregious. It's very interrupting, so I want to just knock that blend out before I do anything else, and then we'll go through and do around the brow ridge and eyes. Better on the temple there. Now I'm gonna blend this stuff on the eyeball. Not eyeball. I need to really start focusing on my words. It's very nice, very nice. I need to get insanely sharp. Insanely, like single bristle sharp for the eyelashes here. So I'm not going to touch it right now. I think I'm going to buy a new brush for those. But let's sharpen up this edge again on the bridge of the nose in the background. Yes, nice. I'm gonna adjust a little bit on the highlight part of her brow ridge, her underbrow, but the part that's receiving the most light, I need to bring it out a little bit further for that roller coaster line. Nice. All right, let's tackle this ear. You can see there's some pretty sloppy block-in tones there, so let's go through and balance this out. We'll start off by, it is receiving a lot of light, so we're going to use that highlight, of course, but the transition between the two is just bananas. So I'm going to use the tone directly underneath the lightest light first to try to break up these insanely bright splashes. Also, I think I'm in focus, but I need to readjust my. Better? Yeah, that's good. Cool. Thank you for that brief. Now the ear's going to be a little bit warmer in tone. I know it looks bright as heck right now, but it's going to be a little bit warmer because light passes through it. So let's jump in. Now that I have it averaged out a little bit better, jump in with a warmer tone. This could be accomplished in one of two ways. You can either do it now, how I'm doing it, or with glazing later on. I'm going to end up doing a combination of both in this particular painting. One of the things that we're seeing right now is that her ear's kind of like doing this thing instead of being like flat. How the light is catching it. It's like really like turning into a monkey ear, like it's going way high up there. So I need to take the shadowiness tone of the side of the cheek and pull it down into the connection between the ear and the cheek. Show you what I mean. This transition spot here. Need to transition down a little bit better. There's some really fun shapes and noses and ears. And again, we're going no reference on here, so it's just a lot of guess and check. It's like a guess. This is the shape of the ear that we're going for. The nicest part is going to come when we can frame out the shape better with shadows. Well, let's start it right now. Let's start doing it right now. I'm going to use this deeper brownish tone we had left over from, well, I think we used this today, but left over from our last session. A tiniest touch of black. I'm going to go ahead and frame out the shape of the tragus, this little triangle here. Use the same tone to shape the full Fibonacci here of the ear. So if we want the, let me explain this for a second. I'm gonna make sure my brush is nice and clean here. So for your Fibonacci spiral, it's gonna have the gradual and then come in, gradual and then come in. We want that for the full shape of this ear. So we want it gradual and then come in. This is going to be a little bit more triangular at the bottom. Gradual and then it comes a lot sharper up here. And you realize there was wet paint right there, so it muddied up the shape I was going for, but push pull, push pull, push pull. Better, looking better. Need a little dip to frame out your lobe. And I'll have to push pull this. I'll need to put the background in, but then also I'll use a highlight and pull the foreground out. I'm going to blend a little bit of my fleshy shadow tone for carving in from here on out, because this is no longer cast shadow. This is like straight up part of the flesh. That tone in here. I got a nice warm dark that isn't nearly as dark as the hair or the cast shadow. And now we're going to soften it up on this bottom edge here. Not dark enough. And as it comes to where the earlobe hits, you get less shadow information because it gets closer to the head, closer to the skull. Heck yeah, boy. All right. There's like on top of her ear, there's like a little funkiness going on, but those are just some old strokes where I tried to blend the hair into the flesh tone. So let's go ahead and tune that. I want this ear shape to be nice before I go through and try to use my blender at all. I feel like there's something going on with this part here, like the. I'll show you. I'll just show you. I need to put a highlight on whatever that inner part of the ear is called. And I need to bring the highlight down a little lower. I think it's the conch is the part that I'm about to do. Is it receiving full light? Might as well. Full-ish. edge of my brush the right way. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yep. The only thing left to do is a very important part that people miss all the time that I missed until now. So I mean, I caught it. So I guess that means it's all good. But where the ear connects to the head right here, we have a similar thing that we had earlier with the earlobe. Gotta make sure that those tones are smooth and blended. Yeah. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna use a very light touch with this round brush that I'm calling for today. I'm calling it my blender brush. It's not necessarily blending or made for blending, but it's a small round and it dance off the tips. Push, let the pressure balance everything out for itself. Okay. Feel good about that. That's pretty good. Let's work on this hairline and then we'll call it for the day, huh? So what we need to do, instead of having our hairline start like this, we need to start more like here and then puff and poof. So we'll use a slightly bigger round brush for this, just because I don't need as much precision. I will mix a little bit of black, not much, but a little bit of black into this really warm tone I have here. And you know what? Maybe I'll do it cool. Should I do a cool tone instead? Let me do a cool tone instead. I'll bring French Ultramarine Blue and pull it off in this direction. Make a cooler black. And the reason I want to do that is I want her hair to look like it is naturally jet black, which means it's going to have some bluish highlights. So I need to make sure that I'm in the cool world. Brad Pitt animated feature. I need to make sure I'm in the cool world before we start pulling highlights or shadows, in different directions. So what I really want is for her hair to come like up here. Not that far. I want this to have a curve to it that comes out and then back in. I don't need the Elaine Bennis wall of hair. Just need a bump. You need to bump it. That's a antiquated term now, right? You get a bump it. Snooki doesn't wear a bump it. Man, so excited to say beautiful, we did it, but that little stroke looks stupid. Yeah, it looks dumb. Alright, so I'm going to lift that out using what? Do I have a clean brush I can just lift out with? Yeah, I'll lift out with this. By lift out, I mean I'm just going to brush it away and then blend. It's just more push-pull technique. Knock that down, grab my background color, pull it. Push-pull, push-pull. Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. Do you have any idea the physical toll 3 push-pulls can take on a man? Actually, I'm happy that I had that little accident right there. Bob Ross has some sort of term for those happy little accidents. But I'm happy because it just forced me to shape that out a little bit nicer, which makes me happy. And up here I might as well blend these tones in a little bit softer. Makes me happy too. It's like one brush stroke leads you to another. Mistake leads you to a victory. Awesome. Nice, nice, nice. Let's do just a little bit of highlight on there, but also want to pull this, bump it back in. So let's just go out so. That was cool. I like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab straight white here and pull off of the cool black tone that I made. It's got a really nice and tattooed and eternal ink tattoo ink. We call it smoke. It's got a nice smoke color, which is essentially a really muted periwinkle. And you'll see it's basically the same tones as what I already had going on here from previous session. What I want to do is just indicate where the light is hitting it, and then when we do hair day, I'll really figure it out from there. Just a second here to blending brush and just smash those into each other. Smash, 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 smash. Better about that. Definitely looks pretty Asian right now, which is not a problem, obviously, but we don't get to see this ballerina's face, so we don't really know what nationality her features take on. I'm looking at my reference right now. If you see him squinting, I'm just kind of feel like there's something going incorrect with the shape of this eyelid here. If I look at myself in profile, I'll do something silly here for you guys. If I'm looking at myself in profile like this, there's something going on. Like the nose needs to come out way further. I don't know. I'll deal with that one later. Thanks for swinging by. Appreciate you. Let's do the normal stuff. Let's like, let's follow, let's subscribe. Let's actually just go out of our way and tell our friends in real life. I think that'd be pretty rad. Just tell them that the tattoo guy is trying to figure out painting in front of everybody. Thanks. I will see you guys next time.